Right, welcome along. National Housing Party press office. Just doing a quick stream about our immigration policy. So basically, I'm going to share the screen in a minute. And this is National Housing Party's immigration policy. We've got more than 1 million people waiting for council flats in this country. And the government are just flooding this country with hundreds of thousands of immigrants and refugees, illegal immigrants, you name it, they're flooding it with them. So, just going to share the screen. So you can get our immigration policy on our website, nationalhousingparty.uk. And I think it's important to remind people that Reform UK, Heritage, UKIP, and Reclaim all want more immigration. It says in their policies that they want more points-based immigration. They want to accept more refugees for citizenship. And I just can't believe that people actually support that, because it's unbelievable. So I am live. Not many people watching at the moment. I hope I'm doing it on the right channel. I'm just going to check now to make sure. Let's have a look. Yes, it's live. So if there's anybody watching, say hello in the chat. So just going to go through our immigration policy. National Housing Party press office. Like I said, I don't understand why the government can't implement our policy, because our immigration policy would solve the crisis immediately. And you're not going to stop the flood. Well, it's like a stampede now of legal and illegal immigration coming into our country. It's just never going to end. So our immigration policy is stop all permanent settlement immigration. This means non-UK nationals would be able to settle permanently in the UK unless they were to marry a UK citizen. Tourist visas and student visas would have strict criteria. Before being issued a visa to enter the UK, tourists and students would need to pay a substantial deposit. This would discourage people from staying in the UK when their visa expires. So, we've heard a lot about students recently. They're abusing the system. They're claiming asylum. They're getting their students' visas. They're coming in. They're claiming asylum. This all needs to be stopped. Claiming asylum needs to be completely taken off the table. We need to leave all refugee conventions and completely stop accepting refugees for citizenship. This is why they're flooding across the channel. And, no matter what people think, these people are getting in the dinghies in France, and they know they're not breaking the law. They know they're not going to be arrested and treated as criminals because they're going to claim asylum. So we need to take that off the table. Reform, Heritage, Reclaim, UKIP, they don't want to take it off the table because they all say they're going to continue accepting what they call genuine refugees, and we don't want any. National Housing Party are very clear about this. The gravy train is over. No more refugees for citizenship. So student visas, tourist visas, strict criteria, substantial deposits will need to be left with the authorities before they are given the visa. If they don't leave the country by the date of their visas, they will lose the money and they will get a 3-year prison sentence. So this leads on to the we need to introduce a mandatory 3-year prison sentence for illegal entry into the UK. Deportation alone is not a deterrent. Many people think, they just say deport. No, we need to have a deterrent so they don't come back, because you can deport someone multiple times and they can just keep coming back. What's to stop them? We've had multiple cases of serious criminals, rapists, murderers, who have been deported from our country. They've come back and committed serious crimes, murders, rapes. And if they would have got a 3 years prison sentence for the first time when they illegally entered the country, they may not have come back to commit these serious crimes that they committed. Well, they definitely wouldn't have come back. So deportation alone is not a deterrent. 3-year prison sentence for illegal entry. They would stay in prison until they organised their own paperwork for deportation. A date would be set for the estimated 2 million illegal immigrants in the UK to leave. An amnesty for the 3-year prison sentence would be granted if the illegal immigrants left the UK by the date set. So when we say amnesty, don't confuse that with an amnesty to give them a British passport. We are never going to advocate for that. That's just completely off the table. We're saying an amnesty for the 3-year prison sentence, because there's an estimated 2 million illegal immigrants in our country. A date would be set for them to leave, and the condition for this amnesty would be for them to give their DNA, fingerprints, and photo when leaving a seaport or airport before that date. If they had not committed a serious crime, they would be free to go and banned for life. So, there's a lot of these illegal immigrants. They're not serious criminals, and we want them out of the country, and we're going to give them a chance, because 2 million people is a lot of people, and, they're not all going to leave. They're not all going to take the amnesty for various reasons. But I believe hundreds of thousands of them will take that amnesty, because they're going to get 3 years in prison. They don't want to go to prison. So the condition to leave would be to give their DNA, fingerprints, and photo, and checks will be done before they are allowed to leave. And if they haven't committed a serious crime, they'd be free to leave and banned for life. They get caught again illegally entering, they will get the 3 years. Illegal immigrants who didn't take advantage of the amnesty and are caught would have to serve the 3-year prison sentence. A £30,000 fine could be paid for early release from the prison sentence, along with immediate deportation. So if they are caught, if they didn't take the offer of the amnesty and leave the country, and they are caught and given a 3-year prison sentence, they can pay their way out of it. They can pay £30,000 if they're not serious criminals and they haven't committed any serious crimes. So in line with all this, we need to construct thousands of illegal immigrant detention centres that could then be turned into social housing at a later date for our own people. So as I said, 2 million illegal immigrants is a hell of a lot of people. Hopefully, the majority will take the amnesty and leave the country. But there's going to be a lot, like I said, who will not do that. When we catch them, they need to be detained. They need to be detained until they organise their paperwork and leave the country, because we're in a massive crisis. There's millions of people in this country with hidden identities, and the reason they've got hidden identities is because they know they can't be deported. So we need to create a long-term plan, like we're suggesting here, to detain a hell of a lot of people, and they stay detained until they leave. And at a later date, once we've emptied all these detention centres of the illegal immigrants, these detention centres would have been designed to be turned into social housing for our own people. The estimated 1 million people waiting for social housing. So we're going to be doing two birds with one stone, so to speak. And these detention centres have to be built, because all these illegal immigrants, they know that the liberal establishment in this country are never going to detain that many people. So they know they're going to stay here. And that's why the authorities always float the idea of giving them amnesty for UK citizenship, which we are completely against and we're never going to agree to as a party. So also need to, mandatory 3-year prison sentence for illegal immigrants. Also, as most people will know, we want to leave all refugee conventions and stop accepting refugees. So once the word is out that we're not going to be accepting refugees, anybody who turns up on the beaches of Dover, they're going straight to prison, 3 years. And this is after our amnesty date. Once the word is out around the world, you go to the UK, you're not going to be getting an hotel, you're going to be getting a prison cell for 3 years. And then you're going to be staying in that prison cell until you organise your papers and your departure to the country where you want to go to. So we also need to clamp down on sham marriages. So, as everybody knows, many in the Pakistani community, the Bangladeshi community, they always marry somebody from their original country where their bloodline's from, and we need to put a stop to this. So our proposal is the only way into our country permanently would be for a marriage, but the marriage criteria, only UK citizens who can trace 50% of their ancestry back to the British Isles for at least 70 years will have the right to bring someone into the UK on a marriage visa. Foreign nationals who marry a UK citizen would never be given a UK passport, but would have the right to remain as long as they stay married. So there's no need, if someone comes from another country and they marry a UK citizen, they are obviously not a British person. They're from whatever country they are, and that's what they are. If they're French, they're French. They're a French person. So, for example, if a French person married, they would get leave to remain if they stayed married to the UK citizen, but they would never be given a UK passport because they're not British. They're not English, Irish, Scottish, or Welsh. So that would be the criteria. We would give financial help to any legally settled ethnic minorities who wish to leave the UK because they would feel more comfortable in another country. So, there is quite a lot of people who have moved here, or they're completely different culture, different ethnic bloodline to the native population of the UK. And they may take advantage of this financial incentive to go back to their homelands. NHPUK will no longer recognise the 1951 UN Refugee Convention. So every single person who's coming in at Dover on the dinghies, that's how they're getting in the Refugee Convention. Nothing to do with the ECHR, where a lot of these fraudsters like Farage and Tice are trying to brainwash people thinking that is the only problem, the European Courts of Human Rights. It is a problem, but that particular agreement only helps illegal immigrants from getting deported. That helps them fight deportation. The 1951 UN Refugee Convention, that's what they use to get into the country. They're two different things, yeah? And Tice and Farage and Ben Habib and all these people are manipulating the public thinking that they're the same thing. But they won't talk about the Refugee Convention because they clearly say they want to continue accepting refugees. So it's just another con by the establishment. Reform UK are part of the establishment. They're all ex-Tories. It's just going to be the Tory party. Mark II, they want more immigration, more refugees. We don't want that. We say no to it all. So the Refugee Convention is no longer fit for purpose because of the widespread abuse by millions of economic migrants flooding into the UK, which is getting worse day by day. Giving refugees full UK citizenship would come to an end under NHPUK government, right? Obviously, we're a million miles away from that, and it probably will never happen. But you never know. Our aim is to be a pressure group to parties above us like Reform UK. We're trying to get enough support for these policies, what are needed to secure our nation. And if we get enough support, then people like Reform UK will start adopting our policies regarding refugees and immigration. So that's our immigration policy. It's so obvious that if the government adopted our policy, and you can see our policy, nationalhousingparty.uk, go to the policy section on our website, you can, it's so obvious that if they implemented our policy, this crisis at Dover would be over in a night. Okay, they're going to have to build these detention centres, but they managed to find all this room for all these dinghy people for them to sleep in hotels, this, that, and the other. They could cordon those hotels off, secure them, and hold them in there, and make it clear to them they're not going to be given citizenship, and they've got to leave the country. But as we all know, the liberal West, they're just never going to detain them, and they're just going to give them UK citizenship, which we do not want. We want to bring that to an end. And hello to the chat, Christine, Mary, Nosty, Fritballs, and Dave 101. Good to see you there, Dave. Just thought I'd do a test live stream on some of our policies. Let's have a look at another policy, anti-globalism policy. So we're a new party. If you've never heard of us before, National Housing Party, United Kingdom. We're a unionist party. We're Christian nationalists. You don't need to be a Christian to join our party, but we do believe in reintroducing Christianity slowly back into our society because, as we all know, our society is going to hell, and we don't want that. And also, a big reason for this is because of globalism and all these globalist organisations like the UN, IMF, WEF, WHO, NATO. We want to leave all these globalist organisations, and we want to leave the United Nations. We want to leave NATO. We want to leave the International Monetary Fund, which is basically the globalist banking cartel. We want to leave the WHO, which is the World Health Organization. They are trying, I think they have already, but they've more or less put legislation into nation states that they can take control of a nation if something like the pandemic happens again, like it happened a couple of years ago. And I'm not sure if they've signed it over yet. I think they have in this country, but they can basically declare a health emergency and direct our government to do what they say, which the governments are like willingly signing up for. So we need to leave that organization. That's the World Health Organization. Also the World Economic Forum. That we need to leave that rapidly. We need to leave all these organizations rapidly. And people like Reform UK, they still want to be members of NATO, the UN. Not sure about the WHO and the WEF. Also want to leave the Bilderberg Group. That's another globalist organization where all the leaders of the Western nations meet to discuss how they're going to dominate our lives. So yeah, we're anti-globalist, we're Christian nationalists. We don't believe in these globalist organizations. They are demonic and they are a big part of the reason the West is absolutely failing, in my opinion. So that's our anti-globalist policy. Also, nationalising the housing market with a national housing party. So, there's a big crisis on the social housing sector where there's over 1 million people waiting for council flats in this country. We need to stop immigration, stop accepting refugees to help solve that crisis on the social housing sector, but also on the private sector, there's a crisis. There's literally millions of people stuck in their parents' houses or whatever the circumstances may be. They cannot get on the property ladder because the prices are so high. The prices for housing in this country are so inflated, it's unbelievable. And our policy is to create a free market within our borders and ban foreign ownership of property and land and business in this country. Take our country off of the globalist market. For example, there is, thousands of rich billionaires from around the world, including the Middle East, China, USA, India, and Russia. They've bought up thousands of properties, and a lot of these billionaires they may not even visit this country, so they're buying up all these properties for financial investments, and it's just pushing the prices up. And there is some figures here. These foreign investors. Foreign ownership of properties in England and Wales has trebled since 2010, from 88,000 properties to 250,000 properties in November 2021. That's a hell of a lot of properties. 250,000 properties are owned by foreigners. And it needs to be brought to an end, because I just don't understand why anyone thinks it's okay for someone who may never even visit our country can own property and make money, and the money's going to go out of the country. And for business as well, like all our big football clubs, only UK citizens should be owning our football clubs. and same with all the other businesses. So that's one of our policies. You know, for people who don't know, if you want to buy a house on the private sector, you've got to get a 10% deposit, 10% of the full price. So if the house is worth 500,000, you're going to have to find £50,000 deposit. Not many people have got that, and that's like £500,000 is kind of like that's the going rate for houses now, or 3-bedroom house, or that's like not in London. So yeah, we need drastic measures to embrace nationalism, because globalism has not helped. It's just not helped the ordinary people. So I just thought I'd do a quick stream tonight, just a little practice stream. So for people who don't know anything about us, we're a new party, and we stand in local elections. We've had some good results so far for a new party. We stand candidates in Oldham, Merseyside, London, South Gloucestershire, also Leicester. Got a few more people coming forward. The time is right to join a party. You could join our party for £22 a year. You can join on the website at the join page, nationalhousingparty.uk. And you can see our policies on our website. If you're interested, have a look at them. Let's see what other policies we've got. Knife crime policy. We're in a knife crime epidemic, especially in London, and we are suggesting there should be mandatory prison sentences for carrying a knife. 12 months for under 18s and 24 months for over 18s. 24 months, that's 2 years, so they'd probably serve 1 year. If the legislation stays the same, you serve half of it. Northern Ireland policy. We're a unionist party, and and the Conservative government have completely betrayed Northern Ireland. We want to scrap the Windsor framework, which has put a border down the Irish Sea. We want to put the border back on the land between Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Long live the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So yeah, we're all about local elections, and we want to preserve this country's identity, our traditions, our culture. As we all know, our country is losing its identity rapidly. This is why we have a complete halt to permanent settlement immigration policy. We also have got a policy on no more religious buildings being built. This would include mosques, synagogues, Hindu temples, Sikh temples, any religious buildings, because we have got more than enough mosques in this country. We've got more than enough Sikh temples in this country. We've got more than enough synagogues. If people want more of those religious buildings, they're going to need to go to a country where that is their culture and their traditions within that country. Because our policy is any new buildings that are built need to be for housing. We've got enough churches in this country. We've got thousands of churches what are not being used. So if anybody wants to worship, they would need to convert to Christianity and use one of the churches what are not being used at the moment. We need to hopefully reopen these churches. So there's no need to build any more churches because we've got more than enough churches, and we've got, more than enough of all the other religious buildings, what I mentioned. So, as I said, our country is losing its identity and culture, and we need to put policies in place to stabilise this country, our identity, our culture, our traditions. So that's our religious buildings policy. I'll just read it through quickly. With well over 1 million of our own citizens living in cramped conditions and also on social housing waiting lists, all new buildings must now be used for housing. NHPUK campaign for a complete halt to the building of any new religious establishments in the UK. Around 2,000 churches have closed in the last decade and are therefore not being used for religious ceremonies. Any new religious establishment will have to be Christian and make use of one of these disused churches. Non-Christians who want new religious buildings constructed will have to move to a country where their religion and culture is the norm. Christianity has been part of the UK's culture and tradition for 2,000 years, and we have more than enough non-Christian religious buildings. The time has come to put policies in place that will preserve our religion, history, and culture. So that's our religious buildings policies. Let's see what else we got. So yeah, that's more or less it. Got one on parking fines here because they're really persecuting drivers at the moment, and people who drive will have received penalty charge notices in the past. And as we all know, if you appeal your penalty charge notice, which is a parking fine, if you appeal it, you can appeal it, but when you go to the appeal, they say you can appeal this fine, but if you lose, you're going to have to pay double, maybe treble sometimes. So what we suggest is, if they said the original amount was £60 fine, and because you went to the appeal was going to be 130 that you'd have to pay if you lose, we are saying if you win, the council should have to pay you £130. That is only fair, because it's just a one-way street of persecution of the motorist. As we all know, we have ULEZ, congestion charge, and National Housing Party campaign to repeal all these persecution policies on the motorist in the UK. So we want to scrap ULEZ, we want to scrap congestion charge, we want to bring the speed limit from 20 miles per hour back up to 30 miles per hour. We want to scrap LTNs where they're closing all these roads, these lower traffic neighbourhood schemes. I haven't heard much about these 15-minute cities recently, but we're opposed to those as well. So that's in our what policy is that again? Let's have a look. Climate change policy, that's what it is. So yeah, we oppose lower traffic neighbourhood schemes, ultra low emission zones, ULEZ. We oppose all new vehicles to be made electric by 2030. I believe Sunak has put that back to 2035 now. We oppose all net zero targets. That's all these carbon net zero targets. These, they're destroying our society with these crazy far left climate hoax policies. Also, carbon-free housing targets by 2035. They're trying to say that all new houses have to be carbon-free by 2035. So yeah, just thought I'd do a quick live stream, and Paul Evangeli in the chat there. Hello there, Dave 101, Paul Rimmer. Good to see you there. Just thought I'd do a quick one, and National Housing Party are doing very well. We got members joining all the time. We had a new member join today, a veteran, British Army veteran. Keep an eye on our party. We are doing very well. As I said, we stand in local elections. We need new candidates. Anybody who's interested in standing in local elections, get in touch with us. It's £22 to join for the year, £11 if you're unwaged, and £22 if you're waged. So thanks for watching. Just a quick stream on our immigration policies. No more refugees for citizenship, no more permanent settlement immigration. This country is in a crisis, and it's pretty simple what they got to do. But as we all know, they're globalists and they believe in open borders, and deep down they just want to destroy nations. And we are Christian nationalists. We love our nation. We love Jesus, and that's what we're doing. So you don't need to be a Christian to join our party. You know, please come and join us, and we will succeed. Thanks for watching.